Hey guys, it's Amanda here. So you might have seen this clip from last week's Tutorial Tuesday where I was showing you some different crafts using Halloween candy wrappers, and yeah, the bowl kind of flopped in the video. So I thought I'd put together a video showing that yes, this actually does work. So I'm just starting off with my balloon. I'm just showing you a way to kind of hold it under the roll of tape so it stays better. And also this time you might notice that I'm using actual Mod Podge. I'm using it in a gloss finish just because Mod Podge gives more consistent results than the Elmer's glue and water mixture does. So that's the only reason why I swapped over to that. So I've got my supplies, getting it open. You actually don't need to, and you really don't want to, shake Mod Podge before you use it because then it creates a lot of air bubbles in there. So you can see I'm just grabbing some of it off the wrapper that I put off. You can kind of stir the top layer a little bit, but just kind of spread it on your balloon to start with, just to create a nice foundation. And now here we go. I'm going to start off with my wrapper, which I'm holding off screen, and I'm just going to coat both sides with the Mod Podge. Here I am realizing that, oh, I'm off screen. So I'm just going to coat both sides with the Mod Podge. You may notice that Mod Podge looks pretty white when it's still wet, but as it dries, it'll dry clear. Just you do want to make sure it's not super gloppy, because if it's super gloppy, then it might dry with some white looking parts and might have some more white globs versus being super clear. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, pretty much like I showed or tried to show in the last video, just coat the wrapper and put it on the balloon. You'll notice that I've swapped over to working with my hands because I was easier to just get my hands a little dirty than to keep using the sponge. So dipping your fingers in there and then rubbing your fingers on both sides of the candy wrappers is also a really great way to quickly coat your pieces as you work on the bowl. And I'm pretty much just going around the size of the balloon to create whatever shape I want. I'm going for a bowl here, so just make it as big or as small as you want it. And that's really all there is to this beginning part here. You can tell that I'm using some different candy wrappers because now that it's after Halloween, I've gotten a lot more candy, so I had more options to choose from. And there I'm telling you to wait on it to dry. Also, what's really cool about Mod Podge, or even if you're using Elmer's glue, is if you get it all over your hands, it's really easy to clean up because with lots of things like acrylic paint or Elmer's glue things, if you just rub your fingers back and forth together, it will start to kind of roll up and it'll come right off. So it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but that's what I'm trying to show. So even if it's still wet, just rub your fingers back and forth, it'll dry it out and come right off. So after I've let the first coat dry mostly, I'm going to come back and do a second coat. You can see there first I'm trying to do it with my left hand, and that was really awkward, and then I dipped the brush in and got way too much Mod Podge on there, but you know, it'll all get used. So just coat the whole thing, and I'm also keeping an eye out for any areas that it's not staying down as much. Okay, there we go, I waited, we're here, and it's pretty much dry. So now the moment of truth. I was a little scared, to be honest, because at first when it crumpled I was like, oh no, but it stayed together. Yay, yay for Mod Podge. Now you'll also notice that I'm trimming the edges, but anyways, you'll also notice that the inside is just the underside of the wrappers. So in a minute here, I'm going to start Mod Podging some colorful wrappers on the inside, but actually a better way to speed this up and kind of save yourself some of the headache is to do 2 layers of wrappers on the balloon. So the first layer, you want the pattern and pretty sides of the wrappers turned downward against the balloon, and then you do the second layer the way that we did this first layer like we've already got made. So here I am, I'm just going back and redoing it because I wanted to make my bowl a little bit sturdier. I could have done just 1 layer and it still would have been fine, but it wouldn't have been quite as sturdy as it is now. So pretty much same process, just coat everything, add the next wrapper on there, and get it looking however you want, and of course we'll trim the edges at the end again. And now I'm going to use these fun scissors. They're like scrapbooking scissors that my mom has, and they're a little tricky just because they were a little dull. They didn't want to cut through right away, but I found a pair that was sharp enough and just carefully went all the way around. And this part might take a little bit if your scissors aren't kind of dull like mine were, just because they're not super sharp, so they'd have a little bit harder time cutting through the candy wrappers and Mod Podge, but they will still cut through, and plus I think it looks really cute, just adds a little extra detail and character to the bowl. And here we go, there is the finished bowl. I went ahead and trimmed it. The outside looks really awesome, inside looks really cool and colorful. Here I am demoing that you can put candy in there. I ended up with a lot of Whoppers, but I actually really am not a fan of them. They're just kind of weird. I mean, they're chocolate, but they're not like good chocolate. So those were just random ones that I had on hand. I don't know why I used those in the video since I don't like them. But there you go. There's your Mod Podge bowl.